What's up guys, Houndish here, and today we're jumping in with a Destiny 2 news roundup, and we've got plenty to discuss in this video. Firstly, a hidden exotic that we might just have a few details about. We're also going to talk possible links between Uldren and a new weapon, plus some character development secrets, and little story details for the expansion, but then we'll touch on reworked strikes for Destiny 2, new Cosmodrome content, and possible raid secrets. Plus we also have clarification about sandbox updates and economy warnings for the expansion, with some additional roundups in this video. So guys, as always, I hope you enjoy this one, and if you do, feel free to drop us a rating down below. But without further delay, let's get into it. And so of course yesterday, one of the major reveals that we had with the Beyond Light Vidoc is that we are going to see Prince Uldren return, or the Crow, introduced into the game as part of Season of the Hunt. And very obviously from what we can see, Crow is going to be linked to the spider, and the season artwork is pretty interesting as well, showing the white crow on the left hand side, obviously representing Uldren, and then Osiris on the right with the spider at the front. But the crow is an idea that Bungie have worked on previously in Destiny's life cycle, apparently very early on in early development before Destiny 1, but then again before Forsaken. So there's a piece of artwork right here, an early concept for an awoken character in Uldren's armor, but with a white crow on their shoulder, as well as a sawed-off shotgun being a pretty prominent featured weapon. So obviously that was curious, and I was very interested in the possibility of seeing Uldren have a sawed-off shotgun back in Forsaken when we saw this, but it raises the question as to whether Uldren could potentially have an exclusive weapon in Year 4, much like we saw with Saint 14 and the Perfect Paradox being reprised of course. We do see him with a sword in the trailer, but also a weapon on his back. So that's one thing, but another very interesting element is that yesterday Bungie revealed an unpreviewed exotic on the roadmap called Duality. And strangely enough, a couple of months back perhaps now, but Wish You Luck did drop a series of supposed leaks for Beyond Light, many of which have turned out to be absolutely correct or more or less correct, as we've had more and more reveals for the expansion. But he also did mention Duality, and he said that the Season Pass exotic is a shotgun, you hip fire it for a buckshot, but can ADS for a slug, and it's called Duality. And I think on that basis, alongside various other leaks and correct kind of details that have been revealed, it does seem reasonably likely that this is indeed how the weapon will work. But of course we are talking about leaks, so as always nothing is guaranteed. However, with those details dropping yesterday, a lot more folks in the community are now discussing Duality and those leaks once again. But of course it is interesting that Uldren had an early D2 concept, which saw him carry kind of a sawn-off style shotgun. And I guess we will see if there is a link, but at least we have a strong hint for Duality. And there's even an interesting model for a shotgun on this dev screen right here during a playtest. So potentially, we could be looking at it right there. Although we will have to wait and see. And of course, a link to Uldren would be sort of bizarre if this turns out to be a Season Pass weapon, but certainly seems nonetheless that there is a historic concept from Bungie there. And let's remember we're also going back to the Dreaming City, potentially for the continuation of a curse cycle, really, for next season in some form. So story-wise, it is safe to say a lot of possibilities have been thrown up in the air. Give us your thoughts as always, but we got a few additional things we can pick out about the Cosmodrome as well. So from the map, it looks like it will come with at least one new lost sector. This one's shown in the Forgotten Shore. And we can see also that initially there are going to be 3 main areas to the Cosmodrome, but as Bungie have said, they plan to expand it in the future. Dexys 5, the Taskmaster, appears to be a new lost sector boss for the Cosmodrome right there. But another pretty interesting element would be the reprise of the Will of Crota strike on the Cosmodrome, because it does appear to have been reworked significantly, and we can see is now called Disgraced, where we need to defeat the boss Navota. New name for the strike, new main boss for the strike. It'll be interesting to see if this boss is linked to any of the stuff going on in the Season of the Hunt story. But then from the trailer we also saw a bunch of Cosmodrome quest steps. DMG kind of loosely teasing that even for veteran players, the new Cosmodrome quest is likely to be something pretty interesting to check out. People have also commonly pointed out that we seem to have some friendly Cabal in this cinematic footage for Season of the Hunt with Zavala and Osiris in the background. And yes, new Darkness subclasses is a node in the UI, and obviously with the way it's arranged, it could mean additional subclasses or variations in future. We do see the light-based subclasses on the left, and then the darkness-based ones on the right. But as Bungie have said, they will expand on Stasis, both in terms of enemies, but quite possibly Guardian subclasses over Year 4, and then perhaps other Darkness subclasses could be reserved for different elements in future. It's obvious that Bungie are kind of opening up that scope for updates further down the road. As always, give us any of your thoughts on that stuff, guys, but here, get a bit of clarification about some sandbox and economy stuff. So there was some concern about changes to paired exotics and the relevance of weapons like Sturm and Drang, considering they are seeing sandbox changes. And DMG updated from TWAB the other day and said that the gunsmith will offer a Mida Mini and Drang with no infusion caps as they pair with exotics. So they are essentially going to be updated in the future and available from gunsmith. And of course for the mini tool, they've added Mida Synergy as the intrinsic, and then the following perks, Hipfire Grip and Kill Clip. And then for Drang, they've moved the Together Forever trait to the intrinsic, as well as adding accurized rounds and moving target as perks on the weapons. So in the case of paired exotics, we aren't going to see their legendary counterparts actually being sunset in the game, so that's positive news. With there being a bit of feedback about some of the hand cannon changes, the adjustment to 120 rate of fire on aggressive hand cannons, DMG also pointed out that there is a bump in range for 140s coming with the changes as part of Beyond Light as well. So bear that in mind. And of course this week we are due to get some economy updates and important things worth knowing about how that'll change in Beyond Light in the form of the TWAP, so we can look forward to that tomorrow, but DMG did point out that we can still be penalized when holding onto certain types of bounty moving into Beyond Light. So he reiterates that if you complete a powerful bounty, and they gave the example of the wanted Silent Fang bounty during Season of the Forge a few months back, if you hold that on and roll it over to the next season, those power drops at least are going to have maximum power associated with the previous season. So all of that is still going to apply when it comes to bounties that actually have a powerful reward. So basically most of the time it isn't going to make any sense to hold on to those particular bounties. But once again, we can stay tuned for extra details on that this week. In the trailer the other day, Bungie did give us a few different shots of Guardians inside of the Deepstone Crypt as part of the new raid for Beyond Light. And people are starting to speculate about the story that'll be associated with that raid. And some players believe that Clovis Bray could potentially be a raid boss, or at least a major character in Beyond Light, as there is a huge amount of story material in the Collector's Edition that's been uploaded in a document which I'll link down below. But there's also a pretty good overview of it from Paul Tassi at Forbes. I'll link all of the articles in the description. But it essentially indicates that Clovis Bray has been communing with the darkness in one form or another, that Clovis Bray had figured out how to travel into an entirely new star system, which folks assume is how Clovis Bray discovered how the life force of the Vex could be used alongside exotechnology. But the lore indicates that early attempts to do this didn't end very well. But it does confirm that exos are essentially made from a combination of that Vex life force, the darkness, and of course human minds. But also a lot of folks are speculating that Clovis Bray could actually be a raid boss. An exoframe diagram that Clovis Bray had been working on, when mirrored, actually matches one of the raid emblems for Deepstone Crypt. So there are obviously going to be some very interesting links and potentially some surprising characters inside of that Deepstone Crypt raid, but that's based on pretty loose teasers, and of course a little bit of speculation from the community. Either way, it is looking to be an interesting component of that story. For today though guys, that is everything we have to speak about in this video, but as always I'll be keeping you posted with all of the news and details that we get over the next couple of weeks, so stay tuned right here. Feel free to get subscribed and let me know down in the comment section what you're looking forward to most in Beyond Light. But if you've enjoyed the video, a rating below also really does help us out on the channel. And as always, I appreciate you watching, but for now, I hope you have an awesome day.